The Goat House is back, breaking down notable prospects that need way more hype, in my opinion. We'll talk about landing spots as well. It's essentially big-name players that people are actually sleeping on. We'll have more sleeper videos, different levels of sleepers. We'll have a mock draft coming up as well. Excited for draft season. Let's get to it. JT Tuimoloau, edge rusher from Ohio State, maybe one of my favorite prospects in the class after watching him. And everyone knows his name. Everyone views him as a good player. He's a notable prospect. Everyone knew his name when he was in high school. He was a top recruit, obviously for a reason. But people got quiet on him. They're moving him down their board a little bit as time goes on. They're maybe saying he's a later day 2 guy. I think he's just so much more than that. So much more than that. In my opinion, after watching him, you have the obvious top edge rushers. I mean, a guy in a league of his own is Abdul Carter, but then in no order, you have Shamar Stewart, you have Mike Green, you have James Pierce, and then for some people in that mix, you have Mykel Williams, Donovan Ezeraku. And then who is next is the big question. And I think not only Tuimoloau is that next guy, I think he's in, for me, he's in the mix with some of those guys that we talked about at the end, and we'll go over my rankings when the time is right and everything, but I truly think he is up there. Love this tape. There's a lot of guys in this class that are lacking power, winning with power, even good prospects, and he consistently can win with power. He has the ideal size, height, length, frame. There's a lot of guys lacking that as well, and he's just an all-around good football player. He can drop in coverage, he can play up and down, so he'd be scheme versatile. He wins in so many different ways. He stops the run. He's a pass deflection machine. I feel like he shows up in big-time moments as well. And he's more of an impact than the stats have shown. And he had 12.5 sacks this year, 6.5 sacks in the playoffs, got injured in the semifinal game against Texas, played in the national championship against Notre Dame, made an impact in that game. This is, I think, a safe pick early round 2. Gonna sound bold. I would not be against late round 1. I might be the only person that thinks that, but I would, if someone took him back there, because this draft is mainly full of like really solid day 2 guys. So if you're taking a really solid day 2 guy late 1, it makes sense. It kind of makes sense in a way, depending on who it is, who the team is, where it's at, but we'll see. I wouldn't be against it, so I'm a big fan of his. I think we got an underrated Ohio State edge rusher. Maybe the other one might be a little overrated in my opinion in Jack Sawyer, but big fan of Tuimoloau. Definitely needs a lot more hype. That's what this video is about. I love the fit with the Lions. I totally can see him in that defensive front paired with Aiden Hutchinson. With his ability, again, just to win in different ways. He's super instinctive. He's so smart. You see him diagnose plays before they happen, and that's kind of rare with edge rusher prospects, so this is a unique pass rusher. Love the Niners fit. Could totally see him opposite of Nick Bosa. They would value his ability to drop in coverage as well. They're kind of looking for that in that system opposite of Bosa. The opposite side, I should say. Commanders need a pass rusher. I think he'd fit Dan Quinn's defense very well. And I see Tampa as well. A little bit different scheme than the other teams we talked about. But again, I think he's pretty scheme versatile. We see him play up and down. You can drop in coverage, which the Buccaneers defense likes. So these are some teams. It's just more of not predicting where he's going to land in this video. It's just my favorite fits. Also, where could he possibly land? Could one of those teams like the Lions, Commanders take a shot at him late round 1? I think most of the world say that's a reach. I would not say that's a reach. So, but really like that Lions fit. Again, one of my favorite prospects, a guy that deserves a little bit more hype. Trey Amos, corner from Ole Miss, and some people kind of view him as a late first-round guy, but a lot of talk is early round 2. Maybe some people have other corners ahead of him. I think it's a top 3 corner in the class. You have the obvious Barron and Will Johnson at the top. Amos is right there. He's another super instinctive player. I think they get him all wrong. They just think this guy's really good in press, so he's got to go to a press man team. There's not too many left in the NFL that are running that much man, but I think that's wrong. You watch him in zone coverage. You watch his instincts. I think it's a zone. This is a press zone corner, which is highly valuable in today's NFL. You can kind of disguise man coverage, run zone. You see him leave his coverage, leave his zone when appropriate. He understands no one's going there right now. I can leave. I can work my way back. I can go where my help is needed more. So he's just so smart. He's made some fantastic plays that you just do not see prospects, at this stage of their careers make. So he played at Louisiana, worked his way up to Alabama, worked his way up this year to Ole Miss because their defense was outstanding. Guys like this made Ole Miss's defense go from not actually, but close, at worst to first. They were that good. So number 3 corner for me right now, I think he's a round 1 talent all day. People talk like, is he a round 1 guy? Is he going to? We'll see where he ends up going. I'm not making a prediction. I'm not saying he's for sure going round 1. In my opinion, he's for sure a round 1 player. Talent, I should say. This is a great Buccaneers fit. Again, I think he's more of a press zone guy. Cover 3 specifically. No one runs more cover 3 than the Buccaneers, but they'll disguise things, making it look like it's man coverage as well at times. I could see the Rams, the way they ran things last year, I could see that fit. Some first-round teams I could see. Eagles, I think it'd be a really good fit in Vic Fangio's defense. Another one of those defenses that really mixes up the coverages but run a lot more zone. But they like to disguise things as well. And I could see the Jags early second round. That'd be a pretty solid fit. Campanile coming in there, coming from the Packers. He would fit that Packers defense. I think the Jags would be a little bit more likely of landing spot there. But this video is really not about the teams. It's more about the prospect, about them, and then where they could go in the draft, or where I think they should go. But it's a big-time corner that needs a little bit more hype. Another notable corner, Benjamin Morrison. This was a polarizing prospect, it seemed like years ago. Everyone's like, watch out for this kid. Lock first-round player. And that kind of died off due to this year. Injury. But he wasn't playing his best ball when he did play earlier this year. Was it bad? No, not even close to bad. But he's had much better things on tape in the past. So wasn't playing his best ball and got injured, and there's some questions there. It's a little tricky to draft a corner in the first round that, has the injury concern. That's kind of the big question. But this dude is super, super talented, a lot of experience in man, and then has played well, showed his instincts in zone as well. A big-time playmaker right out the gate. Was a game changer for Notre Dame. He's a really solid athlete as well. He locked down Marvin Harrison Jr., not this past year, the year before. He's locked down really good receivers. So I think you kind of got to go back and look at the other years, especially 2023, where he's played like a lock first-round player. But because maybe took a step down this year, I'm not really too worried about that. It was a small sample size of it. Notre Dame running a lot more cover 0 at times throughout the year, but when he was playing. And then, because of that injury, basically what I'm getting at, I think he's a round 1 talent. I think teams will think he's around, not every team, but teams will think he's a round 1 talent. But it makes sense for him to be a round 2 guy because of the injury. But it's a super talented corner that everyone's kind of getting quiet on right now. I think it'd be something if he landed on the Bengals in round 2, back with Al Golden, Notre Dame defense coordinator, now the Bengals defense coordinator. The Raiders would make some sense. I believe, they had a top 30 visit with him, which I never really take that too serious. But with the guys with the medical questions, I'd actually pay some attention to who's bringing in those guys for visits, and the Raiders definitely could use an upgrade at corner. I could see him with the Bills, pair him with Christian Benford. A really good duo. It just seems like a guy the Bills would like. Again, Morrison's been he's ran a little bit more man than zone, but I think he kind of convert a little bit more zone. It can be better in zone than man, but again, you can run a mixture with him. And the Commanders, I could see maybe on day 2 as well. Seems like a pretty decent fit with his background running man coverage in Dan Quinn's defense. So this is a big name guy, but everyone's starting to get quiet on him. He's super talented. Joshua Farmer, defensive tackle from Florida State, one of my favorites in the class. There's an obvious top 4 defensive tackles that they all should go first round. Mason Graham, Walter Nolan, Derek Harmon, Kenneth Grant. And after that, people just talk about, man, it's deep. There's this guy, that guy, this guy, that guy. And some guys kind of get lost in that. To me, Farmer's the next best guy, in my opinion. He's my defensive tackle 5. I think he's the best defensive tackle option in day 2. This guy's built like a tank. He's got 35-inch arms. He blows up plays. He's not super speedy, I suppose, if you look at the 40-yard dash time, but you got to watch the tape. He explodes off the ball. So he is athletic, explosive, speedy in that category, which matters way more. Again, collapses the pocket, blows up plays. Something that people, maybe why he doesn't get talked about a ton, there are plays where I guess the analytics wouldn't favor him that much because there are so many plays this year, if you watch, he was doubled. He was doubled a ton, like a lot more than a lot of the other prospects. And there's a reason for that. It's a guy that you have to put a couple bodies on to block because he has a combination of freaky size, length, and explosive abilities. So to me, this is that next defensive tackle after the top guys. He should be an early day 2 pick. And a lot of people, I think, agree that he's a day 2 pick, but this is the guy at the top of day 2, in my opinion. Maybe one of those 4 guys will slide to some, because sometimes that happens when the draft's crazy. And then so maybe he's the second option then. I don't think, though. I think those 4 guys get drafted in round 1. So he's got Eagles written all over him. Could they take him in that last pick of the first round? I would not be against it. I think people will say it's probably a reach. Not me. I love that fit. Chicago Bears need another defensive tackle. It seems like a Dennis Allen guy. He's always looking for length and explosive and physicality. Physicality and length. It's Dennis Allen way. He's got it. He might be the poster child on day 2 for that. The Bears have a pair of second-round picks. 49ers, they look for the traits as well, and they're looking for defensive tackles. Cardinals, I could see him in Jonathan Gannon, the Eagles' background too, so maybe there's a little bit of a fit that I see there. But, and they definitely can use a D-tackle. I can list a ton of teams here. Again, this video is really not about the teams. It's just which are my favorite fits that stand out that these players also possibly could land on. But Farmer, D-tackle 5 for me, huge fan. Josh Conerly Jr., Oregon offensive tackle. Again, well-known prospect. I think most people, the consensus say he's a first-round pick, but the consensus boards kind of put him at player 32, 33, 34, 35, around that range. I think he's better than that. I think he's the top half of the first round, mid-first round pick. I think the reason people aren't in love with them, well, number one is negative. He could use more power. He'll get knocked back a little bit. I don't think it's that much of a concern. I think it's more of a concern with a guy like Josh Simmons, where he lacks the ability to anchor. I don't think Conerly really lacks that. He just could be stronger in that category. But another thing is his tape. He doesn't have a super long list of games that are first-round level. If you go last year, where he was a notable guy, but the tape says round 3 maybe. And you go maybe the first couple games this year, that's for the whole Oregon offensive line. First couple games this year, they were terrible. I don't know what was going on. Not that he was terrible, but the unit was terrible. But first couple games, 2 games, maybe up into the UCLA game is where he took off. It was very early this season. But once you got to that game and the rest, which was the majority of the season and the most recent of what we've seen, this is a top-tier prospect, it seems like, in that category. The quickness, I see him make multiple successful blocks in one play. Really good for an outside zone. He's really good at getting hitting next level blocks, getting downfield in a hurry. He fights all the way through the rep. There's reps where Gabriel, their quarterback, kind of holding on the ball, moving around a ton, and he's fighting all the way through. So I watch his tape. I watch it again and again, more of him, and I'm like, I love this guy, what I'm seeing in the more important part of this season. So likely a top 3 offense tackle for me. All those guys are so tough to split up and rank. There's a lot of good ones at the top, but then it really dies off. Again, I think he's most definitely, some people are kind of questioning it. Is he a first-round guy? I think most definitely. I think the Texans is a very good fit. The Miami Dolphins and Mike McDaniel's system would make some sense. Some of these teams pick really early in the first round. That's the problem. People don't like him being mocked there. Like Dolphins, Niners, Bears, it does seem pretty early, but he's a really good scheme fit in those team systems and schemes, and they also perhaps need a left tackle or left tackle of the future looking at the Niners case. But Texans, really good fit. I mean, the Chiefs could end up with them at the end of the first round, and I'd be good with it. I think it's just a better scheme fit in some of the teams like this, but a better prospect. People know he's a good prospect, better prospect than what kind of being talked about right now. Here's a day 2 offensive tackle, Ozzy Trapolo from Boston College, the right tackle, plug-and-play right tackle. He's not a first-round prospect because he's not super flashy. Like, is he super quick, getting downfield, hitting blocks? No. Is he, he's got pretty good size, he's got pretty good power, but he's not super flashy in any category, so therefore he's not a round 1 prospect. But it doesn't mean he's not good. He's a very solid right tackle, and there is a major drop-off. You have the first-round guys. We just talked about one of them in Conerly. And then the second-round chatter is Ursery from Minnesota. And then it's like, you got some upside guys that we'll take way later. It's a big-time drop. It is a big-time drop-off in the offensive tackle class. This is kind of the end, close to the end of the line. I think it's a solid round 2 option if you need a right tackle. Could see him with the Niners. even starting right away with them. Could see him with the Patriots. They got Morgan Moses. Maybe he's the replacement there. The Jets, could see them starting right away with them. The Commanders, you could start listing other teams too. The Texans, the Cardinals, several teams here. But I think he's a safe pick. He's not going to be a polarizing player. He's going to be solid right tackle. I think he can fit just about any scheme. So this is kind of that day 2 option that needs a little bit more love at the offensive tackle position. I've talked about Donovan Jackson in a recent video a little bit. Ohio State offensive lineman was a guard that had to play tackle because Josh Simmons was out. He has tackle measurables, and he played very well there, but this dude is a dominant guard. I'm a big fan of Donovan Jackson. I think, for me, he's my number 1 guard, number 1 interior offensive lineman in the class, considering Will Campbell is a tackle. But if you put him at guard, if he plays guard for a team, then he's the top guy. But I think Donovan Jackson's that good. Another one of those prospects where people are talking like, yeah, we like him. Good prospect, really solid, versatile, can play guard and tackle. Is he a first-round pick? I think he's most the tape. If you got to kind of go back a little bit. He played great at tackle. Go back to last year. This dude is a for sure round 1 talent. We'll see where he ends up going. But I think I'd take him in the first half of the first round. I look at that Cardinals pick. That's right in the middle, pick 16. They have the former Ohio State offensive line coach there. They're looking for offensive linemen that could play guard or tackle. I think he's most definitely good enough to play there. I love the fit with the 49ers. I have a lot of Niners fits in this video. That's really not... I'm not a Niners fan. I know some people in the comments will be like, oh, he's got Niners for everyone. And it's really not the point of this video. I just think some of these guys are a fit. Would it be too early at 11? People would probably say so. I wouldn't mind it. You plug him in at left guard. If Trent Williams goes down, you plug him in at left tackle. He's going to be good for you. Seattle needs offensive line help. It'd be a really good fit. He's very scheme versatile as well. 1 second he's showing power. Next second, because Ohio State mixed up their blocking schemes a little bit. Next second, he's getting downfield, outside zone plays, hitting blocks. I love how smooth of a mover he is, so I would prefer him in outside zone. I listed quite all the teams that run outside zone here. The Vikings, much like the Niners, they can plug him in at left guard. Darisaw goes down. Boom, you can put him at left tackle. So I love those. You can put the Texans in there. They pick a little late for me. I think he should go much earlier, but we'll see where he ends up going. I could put the Bengals in here because, like I said, he is pretty scheme versatile. That's why I like him so much, though, because not just because he's versatile, but why is he scheme versatile? It's because he has the combination of power and quickness, and there's not too many prospects at the offensive line positions that have that in this class. So huge fan of Donovan Jackson. Jonah Savainaya, Arizona right tackle. He played right tackle even though in the past he has had some reps at guard. But I am listing him as a guard, and there's some prospects that you have to move to guard because they're lacking length. It is not the case here. I just watch him play, and I'm like, I'm watching a high-end guard. So I'd be fine if a team drafted him played at right tackle. I am hoping, and I do think it's the most likely case at the same time, that a team drafts him to play a right guard spot. I think he has Pro Bowl potential there. I'm going to rank him as my 4th best interior offensive lineman, and I think he might be the best of the interior offensive lineman on day 2, and he's not really getting that love. Again, big name. People talk about him. People were thrilled with this combine. He's a little more athletic there testing-wise than we thought. But I just don't think people are giving him that love. So I like him. Could be early day 2. I hope he plays guard, but I think he could be a good right tackle. There's some really good fits here. Can totally see him in the Bengals, with the Bengals at that right guard spot. Again, Amarius Mims had some durability concerns in the past. He goes down. You can put Savaiana at right tackle. Eagles just seems like a really good right guard option for that. He's got Eagles written all over him at that right guard spot, which they could use. They do have a couple options, but really solid fit with his power as the type of blockers these teams I have listed you look for. The Giants, definitely looking for a guy that could fill in that spot. I could even see him playing right tackle for the Giants. They have Illuminor, but it could be the future option there, but could start right away at guard. And the Ravens as well, really good fit. They really look for the power. Guys have to have a certain level of strength to play on the offensive line there, and I think he could start at guard right away for them. So some really obvious good fits, in my opinion, for Savaianaya, who is should be a versatile offensive line prospect in round 2. Mason Taylor, the tight end from LSU, and what this video is all about, like a well-known, highly talked about prospect, but there are people out there that are who's tight end 3? Is it Fannin? Is it Arroyo? Is it this guy? Is it Helm? Is it that guy? I think it's sure thing, firmly Mason Taylor. I think it will be in the NFL's eyes as well. And it's so tough to predict how things will come off the board with the NFL draft. It's the beauty of it, but I'm pretty firm on Mason Taylor being the third tight. Should be the third tight end off the board. I think he will be. He's already a really solid prospect, very smooth. Really good contested catcher, could align him anywhere, and he is young, raw at the same time of being, when you see like the raw high upside guys that are already kind of polished in a way, but why I say that, very young, could add some strength, which he will. NFL program, get him in there, they'll add more power to him. That's really all he's lacking. He's got it in his genes as well. So I think he has so much upside. It's a lock to be tight end 3, in my opinion. Everyone should have him tight end 3, even though there's some other really solid other tight ends there. There's some guys that you want to put there because their production level as a receiver, guys like Fannin, Arroyo. But there's a little bit more to Taylor in his game fitting in the NFL, and his upside could be that best option to go early in terms of tight ends on day 2. Again, another guy that if he went late 1, it might be surprising if it happens, but really it shouldn't surprise us that much. Like the Chargers for him, Colts an obvious tight end needy team. I feel like they might fill that in round 1 though, but we'll see if the board has to fall right for them. Obviously, Seattle seems like a good fit in that new Clint Kubiak offense with tight end will be pretty important there. And the Eagles, that'd be a team that, could they take them? Late round 1, we have a few Eagles fits for that reason in this video, but should be a lock as tight end 3 here in Mason Taylor. Kyle Williams, Washington State receiver. Now, this guy was about to be in another sleeper video, like a different level of sleeper video, because I thought he was a big-time sleeper. I've been talking about him for a little bit, but now getting a lot more hype, it seems to be, after Chris Sims ranked him as his number 2 receiver in the class, which was pretty surprising, but so I think some people are starting to catch up because of that. People have him like day 3 type guy, but starting to get a little bit more hype. But this guy is consistently productive. He's very good tracking the ball down the field. He is explosive. He's a home run type receiver. If he catches the ball, man, he might be gone. Kind of gives me some Stephon Diggs vibes in a way. Could argue some other players as well. He was really used in a heavy motion offense. He was the motion guy a lot. That there's a lot of offenses that have a lot of success and they throw the ball a ton that will really value that from Kyle Williams. I think he's easily a top 10 receiver that could even go in round 2, even though that's not being discussed a ton by Sims. It is, but could be an early round 3 guy as well. In terms of just system fit, the Rams, it's a Sean McVay type of receiver, a lot of motion. Use him as the motion guy. Would be a beautiful even an upgrade possibly with his upside. Replacement for Demarcus Robinson. Now, Rams receiver is not their biggest need, but we're not talking about a first round guy here. So just in terms of system fit, that's the most beautiful one in my opinion. Not necessarily saying he lands there. I'm going to put Titans here. Titans, I think they're going to go Cam Ward in first round. This was his receiver at Washington State 2 years ago. Titans will need a receiver. I think a very likely option is receiver for them. Not necessarily Kyle Williams, but could be in round 2. For Tennessee to pair him with Cam Ward. Packers, they need a receiver. They typically like adding one in day 2. Could be an option for them. In Carolina, if they don't grab a receiver in round 1, this could be an option for them. Kind of a shifty, speedy outside guy for Bryce Young to pair Adam Thielen and Coker. That would make some sense there. But you can list a ton of teams for a guy like this. But a rising prospect here that definitely, even though he's starting to get a little bit more hype, give him some more hype. R.J. Harvey, Central Florida running back, a notable prospect. Everyone likes him, right? Everyone thinks he's pretty solid. Again, I think he's better than what people give him credit for. I think this should be a lock in round 3. Really, the only knock on him is that, he has some mileage on him, not a huge negative, but really the only knock is he's not the best pass protector. There's a load of good running backs in this class, and there's a load of them that pass protect pretty well. It's probably the best pass protecting running back class that I've ever seen. Pass blocking, I'm trying to say. And he's not great at it, right? But this dude is physical, tough to bring down. He'll lower his shoulder, try to run you over, but first he's going to make you miss. He can blow by you. He hits home runs after home runs. Central Florida just kept feeding him the ball. He's got solid vision, but around the goal line, he just finds the way to get in the end zone. You can run wildcat with them. You can run outside zone with them. You can run inside zone with them. He can catch the ball very, very well out of the backfield, downfield, explosive plays there. I said it before, this could be this year's Bucky Irving, who I liked last year as well. Just how explosive he was just really stood out to me. So I thought I was fairly high on him. I wish I was a little higher. I'm fairly high on. I think Bucky Irving was my running back 6 last year, and Harvey is my running back 6 right now. So most people have him like the 8, 9, 10, 11, somewhere range, but I think it should be a lock in round 3. I could list a bunch of teams here. I could totally see him in Arthur Smith's offense if the Steelers don't take a running back earlier, which they could, because right now it's Jaylen Warren and Gainwell. Gainwell to me should be a running back 3, could be a running back 2 if you have Saquon Barkley as running back 1, what the Eagles did, but the Steelers do not have that. So they need someone else. I could totally see them running Wildcat with Harvey, kind of getting unique with them. I totally could see it. Cowboys, the Cowboys added a couple of solid running backs, decent running backs on 1-year deal. I don't think since the Zeke contract, they devalued the running back position. They're not going to pay him, and they're not going to take him in the first round. I don't think. Some people think they could still. And they'll wait till around this range. Harvey could be their lead back. Broncos, I think with the Broncos, I love the fit in Sean Payton's offense with R.J. Harvey. Here's the problem. They probably fill this need somewhat long before this, maybe first round. So will this even be an option? Could they add multiple running backs? Definitely a possibility. And the Saints, definitely could see them in Kellen Moore's offense, pairing them with Alvin Kamara, really good duo there. But you can list several teams here. I can list the Commanders. I can list a lot of teams, really. Would have liked him with the Vikings offense a lot, but they brought back Aaron Jones and they traded for Jordan Mason, so that would be why I didn't list them. But one of my favorite running back prospects in the draft, home run hitter, just the pass protection is really what is the knock here with him, and maybe a little bit of mileage, but there's really not. I think people are kind of pushing for knocks other than that. So there you have it. Love doing this video. I mean, one of my favorite videos I've done. Probably my favorite one I've done this draft season. I'm going to have more of these, like a next level of, this is in a way a sleepers video. The next one might be even more my favorite, like the guys that they're legit good prospects like this video, but nobody's talking about them for some reason. So I'm kind of gearing up to do that one sometime soon. I have a mock draft probably before then, Monday I'm shooting for. And then of course we'll eventually get to like the sleepers, like the day 3 sleepers plus the deep sleepers paired all in the same video there. So love doing these. It's kind of a way to learn about, who could be sleepers, but kind of giving you an evaluation on these prospects at the same time. So it's not just like the boring rankings videos. It's kind of a lot of things combined here. So really excited about this stuff. Really excited about the draft. We'll be live during day 1 of the NFL draft. Very important to like, subscribe, turn notifications on, and follow us on Twitter as well for all the updates, day 2 and 3 coverage on there. So that'll do it. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.